If you noticed, I did enter the Cold War term quiz, meaning like as a category into the grade book. Obviously, I haven't put scores in there yet because we haven't taken it. But here's what we got going on today, folks. Today is February 11th, last day of full-on distance learning. Can you believe it? We're going to be back in a hybrid fashion next week, and I am really excited about it, as is Mr. Winters. We're going to start out with a little Quizlet Live. There's no pictures on this one so that you guys are all set for that term quiz later today. And then we are going to do kind of a close reading of something called The Hill We Climb, which some of you probably already know what I'm talking about, which is a poem that was recited during the inauguration. But we'll get more into that as we get closer. So just as a reminder, okay, do we have school next Monday? No, we do not have school next Monday. If you are in cohort 1, that means you're Tuesday, Wednesday. If you're in cohort 2, that means you are Thursday and Friday. Okay. Just a reminder, we are still meeting twice a week in this class, regardless of you are in class or if you are at home. Like I said, if you are phoning in via Google Meet for the meeting, it's going to be a quick 10, 15 minutes just to introduce what we're working on that day. Okay. It's not going to be, you don't have to be wired in for an hour or anything like that. If you are either distance learning or, like cohort 3, or you're just not in school that day. Okay. Anything I didn't mention there, Mr. Winters, or anything that is unclear? Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's all go right to Quizlet.live right now. Quizlet.live right now. Quizlet.live. Here we go. There's your code, 993123. Play 3 rounds of this. Then we'll get right into, we basically have one activity for today, the hill we climb. And then I'll cut you loose on the quiz. It's going to be a humdinger. Let's see, we got 19 in. Looking for about 22 or so. If you can hear Mickey Mouse Club in the background, that's because Alice is home from daycare today. All right, here we go. Round 1, and they're racing. Wow. Round 2, and they're racing. Morgan's not going to let anybody else play. Here we go. Last round. This one's for all the Tostitos. And they're racing. Jeez, Morgan, what a bully. Okay, here we go. I want everybody to go right to Schoology right now, and I want you to go under that Cold War folder. Okay, I'll show you a little bit what that's going to look like here in just a second. All right. Hopefully you can see this. Here's what we got going on today, folks. Okay. As you can see, you've got an upcoming due date on Friday. You are going to complete for me the Hill We Climb response. Now, it is not a very long sheet. Okay. But it does require you to think a little bit. Okay. So right under this folder titled the Hill We Climb response, you open up that document right there and put that into Notability. Okay. Now, looking at the questions that you have in front of you, I would like you to just kind of skim the question and see what we're looking for here. Now, this video is about 5 minutes long. Okay. And a lot of it might just kind of go right over your head. That is fine. I'll talk more about it here in just a minute. But I do want you to kind of focus upon these three questions. Questions 3 and 4, I want at least 3 sentences minimum for each of those. So this is not something that you are going to be able to complete in 5 minutes, because I do want you to actually put some thought into this. What the rip is Mr. Pieper talking about? Well, maybe you have heard about the 22-year-old that recited some poetry for the inauguration. And some of you might be crossing your arms and going, I don't want to hear about this. I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. Well, I challenge you to go into today with an open mind, because this isn't just something that we're doing because it's Black History Month and we're talking about achievements of African Americans. But this young woman was in the same footsteps as Maya Angelou and Robert Frost. It's not very often that we're able to see poetry during an inauguration, okay? Furthermore, she is a young poet laureate, and she was recognized by Dr. Biden, and that's basically why she was picked to speak. However, regardless of your stance on the political spectrum, I want you to listen to this message. Okay, because I challenge you to find any political slant in it. It is talking about unity, and it is talking about moving forward, and it's going to apply directly to our conversations that we had before about the American dream and the American experience. Okay, so keep that worksheet open. I'm going to be muting myself and showing you that video here in just a moment, but not yet. Okay, and then yeah, and then I'm going to cut you loose for the quiz. So as you can see, this is a pretty quick day. Now, if you are like, man, some of the stuff is going right over my head, that's fine. You can watch it again later, or you can pull up the transcript, or you can, look up what the words might mean later. And I'm going to be we're going to be talking specifically about basically a couple stanzas that you're going to see right in that worksheet there right after this. Okay, so just sit back and appreciate this for now. And here we go.
Mr. President, Dr. Biden, Madam Vice President, Mr. Emhoff, Americans, and the world. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just is isn't always just is. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So, while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens. But one thing is certain: if we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the West. We will rise from the wind-swept Northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
Well, Mr. Winters, were you able to pick up the 2 Hamilton allusions from that or no? He's not paying attention again, is he? We lost him.
Kind of missed it because I'm kind of answering the questions as it went. So
we lost him, guys. He also missed out about the part about we're going to work on some of this together. It's
okay. I'm a loner.
I'll say
exactly opposite of what she was preaching. No, just kidding.
Okay, here we go. So this part right here, and yes, we are far from polished. Okay, polished is kind of an expression that people use when they say something's finished or it's done. Okay, far from pristine, otherwise known as like perfect or untouched. But that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. So in this line, she's saying we are imperfect. We are striving to forge a nation with purpose. With purpose. Okay. And I want you to think about some of these, okay? What does it mean to be unified? You know, I don't want you to just put to be the same or to be equal. I want you to actually think about some words that are meaningful to you to fill out each of these, okay? When I say 3 sentences minimum, I want you to actually put some thought into this. I want it to be a complex answer, okay? And then lastly, and probably the most complex question is when your light shines brightest, and I'm making a direct allusion to her poem here, what are you brave enough to see and what are you brave enough to be? I'm going to let you guys work on that. Okay. Again, this is not something that I'm just going to be checking completion for. I'm going to be checking to see that you actually put some thought into this. Okay. And it'll be pretty easy to see those that are putting the effort in. Now, right after this, I'm going to be opening up that term quiz. It is